In the second follow-up segment tonight, another example of how U.S. immigration laws seem to do a better job protecting the illegal immigrant than Americans right here in the USA. Just weeks ago, Cynthia Garcia Cisneros, an illegal immigrant, had her immigration case dismissed despite the fact that she was convicted of a felony hit-and-run that resulted in the death of 2 young girls. On top of the fact that her immigration case was dismissed, she received no prison time for the hit-and-run conviction. Cisneros was temporarily allowed to be in this country due to an executive order by the Obama administration back in 2012, since she was a child when her parents brought her to the United States, the so-called DACA status. Joining us now from Fort Worth, Texas, is Francisco Hernandez, an immigration attorney. Francisco, it's good to see you. This was a horrible case. Why do you call me Laura, Francisco? This was a horrible case. This woman ran over 2 girls in a leaf pile. She was convicted of a felony. There's a felony hit and run, 2 counts. And then she doesn't get any jail time, goes to immigration, and the judge, whose name will not be released apparently, they're not releasing the name of the judge, says she can stay in the country. Will you support this decision?
Well, Ms. Ingram, we don't know the basic reason, but I do know, I have researched this just today, that it was at the behest of the parents of the victims. They pleaded with both judges not to have her convicted. They pleaded with the immigration judge not to have her deported. So there's a lot more to this story than we know about, and most of it is confidential. However, Ms. Ingram, you were a Supreme Court justice. You know the term due process.
I wasn't a justice,
First
but I was
of all,
a law clerk.
Law clerk, yes. Well, you should have been a Supreme Court justice.
Oh, thank you.
But the case was not dismissed with prejudice, and the Immigration Customs Enforcement has full authority and ability to bring it again if they so desire. The issue here is what the conviction was under state law. And you know, immigration law and state law, aggravated felony, are 2 completely different things. By the way, my buddy Settleton has a crush on you.
You're a great guest, and you're a terrific advocate for your side of all this. But we got 2 dead girls. We have 2 dead girls. We have 2 felony hit-and-run counts convicted. These are felonies. If you're a legal American green card holder, you have a green card, you can work in the country, you're a legal immigrant in the country, and you commit a felony, you're instantly deportable. The case of Comrade Black, who was convicted of by Patrick Fitzgerald, all this felony. The Supreme Court throws out the honest services statute. The guy can't come back into the country, right? But he was legally present in the country when he was convicted of a felony. Ultimately, he's out. He can't come back to the country. But we have special status given to these so-called dreamers, who she dreamed all her way right into running over these 2 girls. And I'm glad that parents feel bad for her. But this just shows us this whole dreamer thing is a big farce.
But she didn't get to stay because of her DREAM Act status. She gets to stay because of the result of the state case, plus whatever went on in the immigration court, which up until now is completely confidential, and we're not able to find out. Sure, the judge's name ought to be confidential.
Why are we not able to find out the name of the judge, and they're not going to say why it was dropped, why the case was dropped? You may have sources, but ICE is not revealing why this case was dropped. And we already know that, well, they can't. They reveal all sorts of stuff to us when it's convenient to their agenda. And I'll also remind you, Francisco, 68,000 criminals have been released in the last year by ICE. 167 murderers have been released by ICE. We have people who have committed horrific crimes, from rape to burglary and serious narcotics trafficking, who have been released back into our country and apparently are just melding into the community. And we're supposed to think that these are all valedictorians here. I just think it's a fraud for the American people to have to deal with this.
With your permission, Laura, we don't have enough time to defend all those cases. I don't know. However, we only have time to discuss this case, and we don't know what the circumstances are behind this case. However, I assure you that none of the cases you've cited are here or were allowed to remain here because of the deferred action status.
Why was she here?
You and I
she was allowed to stay under deferred action. She had DACA status, did she not?
Well, yes, she did have the DACA status. However, even if she did not have it, doesn't mean she would have been deported if she had an otherwise legal right to be here. We just don't know that situation. I venture to guess that she had, I had a guy that was on the verge, on the precipice of deportation.
Got a lot of criminals.
When the mother came in to see me, and turns out he was a citizen and he didn't even know it.
We have enough criminals to deal with in the country. We don't need an entire new class of criminals. But Francisco, it's great to see you always.